Our freedom was a lie. It always was, but now they're not even hiding it anymore. We look at China and go, wow, dystopia. But the West is building the exact same damn system for us, just with prettier packaging. They don't call it social credit, they call it ESG score. They don't call it digital surveillance, they call it smart cities. They don't call it control, they call it security. The words are changing, but the outcome's the same. We're just numbers, a score, a data point. And if we don't comply with the system, they delete us. Just like suspending an Instagram account, except this time from real life. Right now, there are two types of people in the world. Some see this system being built and they're preparing. Others are completely clueless, fast asleep. Which one are we? Because staying in the middle soon won't be an option. This video is going to show you three things. First, China's social credit system isn't an experiment, it's a prototype. Second, the West is building the same system but using different names. Third, once this infrastructure is complete, there's no going back. So get ready, because what we're about to tell you isn't just the future, it's the present. Decode the reality. China's social credit system was officially announced in 2014. The government called it the Social Trust System. Nice name, right? But the way it works is dark enough to make Orwell's 1984 look tame. System's simple. Everyone gets a score. Usually you start at 1,000. Then every move you make, every purchase, every tweet, it affects that score. Do good things, you gain points. Do bad things, you lose them. Besides, what's good and bad? The government. Alone. No debate. Behavior. Volunteer work, donations, paying taxes, helping the elderly. Bad behavior? Running a red light, late bill payments, smoking where it's banned, and, here's the critical part, criticizing the government. Do the wrong thing on social media, your score drops. Hang out with a dissident friend, your score drops. The system doesn't just watch you, it watches everyone around you. This journalist named Liu Hu. In 2016, he wrote an article criticizing the government. One morning he woke up and his life was destroyed. A train ticket, flight reservations rejected, bank accounts seized. His kid wasn't accepted into private school. Liu Hu had been added to the list of untrustworthy persons. The official name is some Chinese term, but the English translation is List of Dishonest Persons Subject to Enforcement. The real meaning? Social death penalty. By 2020, 23 million Chinese citizens were on this list. 23 million people banned from domestic flights. 6 million banned from high-speed trains. Thousands can't find jobs, can't get bank loans. Some can't even enter their own apartments because the smart lock doesn't recognize them. And the darkest part? Facial recognition. China built the world's largest surveillance network with over 600 million cameras. These cameras don't just record. Combined with AI, they recognize your face in seconds, identify you, and update your social credit score. Run a red light? The system recognized you. Your score dropped. The fine came as a notification on your phone. Automatic, instant, inescapable. China tested this system, optimized it, and now they're exporting it. Venezuela, Ecuador, Zimbabwe, all bought social credit infrastructure from China. But that's not the real issue. The real issue is this. The West is watching China and taking notes. They're copying not just the methodology, but the language too. In the West, they don't call it social credit because that phrase is too obvious, too scary. They use different names. ESG, digital identity, smart cities. Each one looks separate, but they're all heading to the same place, total control. ESG, environmental, social, and governance. It was originally developed for corporations to measure sustainability, but over time it turned into a scoring system. Giants like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, they invest in companies based on ESG scores. Low ESG, no investment, no credit, bankruptcy. Now the same logic is being applied to us. In Italy, Bologna launched a pilot program in 2022 called Smart Citizen Wallet. They give citizens points. Separate your trash, you earn points. Use public transport, points. Attend events, points. And with these points, you get discounts, privileges. Sounds innocent, right? But think about it. A system that's voluntary today could be mandatory tomorrow. A mechanism that rewards today could become a punishment tool tomorrow. What's defined as good behavior today might mean obedience to government policy tomorrow. China started the same way. The system was voluntary in the early years. Now it's inescapable. And here's the real game: digital identity. The World Economic Forum has been pushing digital identity systems since 2016. There's a project called ID 2020. Microsoft, Accenture, Gavi, Rockefeller Foundation, all behind it. The goal? Every human having a digital identity. Passport, driver's license, health records, bank accounts, all on one platform. The European Union launched the European Digital Identity Wallet project in 2023. By 2026, all EU citizens are planned to be in the system. What's in the system? Our biometric data, health history, travel records, education status, financial information, everything, in one place, in one QR code. But this provides convenience, you might say. True, but it also centralizes control. A central authority with access to all our information can impose anything on us. With one keystroke, they can kick us out of the system, freeze our accounts, block our travel, take away our jobs, and we'd have no way to appeal because the system is digital, autonomous, irreversible. And now the final piece: personal carbon credits. Some companies in the UK are developing apps that measure carbon footprints. MasterCard introduced a carbon calculator credit card in 2021. It calculates the carbon footprint of every purchase, and if we exceed a certain limit, our card shuts down. Really? Not science fiction, a real project. Think about it. Our ESG score, plus our digital identity, plus our carbon limit equals total control. We don't comply with the system, the score drops. Score drops, access gets restricted. Access gets restricted, our lives stop. And they're selling this under fighting climate change. At least China's honest. But ESG and digital identity aren't enough on their own. To really make the system work, they need one more thing: our money. Or more specifically, control of our money. And this is where CBDC comes in. CBDC, central bank digital currency. Government issued, completely digital, cashless money. Like Bitcoin? No, the complete opposite. Bitcoin is decentralized, anonymous, uncontrollable. CBDC is centralized, trackable, controllable. Actually, the most dangerous financial weapon. Right now, 130 countries are working on CBDC. That's 98% of the world's economy. China's already testing the digital yuan. Europe's planning the digital euro. The US is publishing Fed reports on the digital dollar. India, UK, Australia, Brazil, all in line. And they're all moving at the same time, coordinated, synchronized, like it's planned. So what's the difference between CBDC and cash? Everything. Cash is anonymous. CBDC is trackable. Cash is free. CBDC is programmable. What does that mean? It means this: the government can determine how, where, and when our digital money gets spent. They don't just monitor, they control. Imagine this: the government gives us digital dollars, but this money only works at certain stores, can only be used for certain products, can only be spent within 30 days, then it disappears. Want to buy alcohol? System rejects it because your health score is low. Want to buy gas? System blocks it because you've exceeded your monthly carbon limit. Want to donate to an opposition newspaper? Transaction canceled because security threat. This isn't science fiction. It's already being implemented in China. Citizens using digital yuan can only shop during certain hours and in certain amounts. The system automatically sets limits, monitors spending habits, and it's integrated with the social credit score. Got a low score? Part of your digital yuan gets frozen. Nigeria launched a CBDC called e-Naira in 2021. The government promoted it as a huge success, but the people rejected it. Only 0.5% started using it. Why? Because people saw it. They understood what was behind the system, and they resisted. Similar situation in the Bahamas. The CBDC called Sand Dollar didn't get the expected interest. People kept using cash. But governments aren't giving up, because CBDC isn't just money, It's a control infrastructure. And when this infrastructure is fully built, cash will be eliminated. Many countries are already making cash usage difficult. 50% of stores in Sweden no longer accept cash. In the Netherlands, cash payments over 1,000 euros are banned. Soon, cash will be illegal. And when cash is gone, only digital money will remain. And the key to digital money will be with the government. They don't like us? They turn off the key. Freezing our accounts won't even require a court order. An algorithm will be enough. Automatic, instant, non-appealable. Now let's put the pieces together. We have our ESG score. We have our digital identity. We have our CBDC account. All three look like separate systems, but they're not. They're all connecting to each other. And when they merge, a total control matrix forms. Think of it this way. Our digital identity is us. Our ESG score measures our behavior. Our CBDC account controls our money. Now integrate these. The system knows who we are, where we go, what we eat, what we read, what we think. And based on all of that, it decides what we can do. Smart cities are being built precisely to enable this integration. Sensors on every corner of the city, cameras, IoT devices, everything connected, everything generating data. And all this data is collected in a central AI system, real-time, uninterrupted. Then comes the 15-minute city concept. Started in Oxford, tested in Paris, planned in Melbourne. The idea is simple. Everything we need should be within a 15-minute walk. Sounds eco-friendly, healthy, right? But the implementation? Dividing the city into zones and making leaving those zones subject to permission. In Oxford's pilot program, residents can only leave their zone 100 days a year. Want to go out more? We need permission. And if permission isn't granted, we're blocked in the digital system. A GPS chip mounted in our car tracks us. Try to cross the border, automatic fine. Since our money's in CBDC, it's deducted instantly. And the COVID-19 pandemic was the perfect testing ground. Vaccine passports, QR codes, movement permits, digital health certificates. Millions of people used these systems. And what happened? People accepted it, didn't object, actually defended it. For security, they said. For health, they said. And at that exact point, the system normalized. Now this infrastructure is being made permanent. In Europe, health passports are now integrated into digital identity wallets. In Canada, the ArriveCan app, even though the pandemic's over, is still active. In Australia, quarantine tracking apps haven't been removed because these aren't emergency tools anymore. They're the new normal. And who's behind all these systems? Big tech companies. Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, Meta, all signing contracts with governments. They're building the surveillance infrastructure. They're operating the data storage centers. They're developing the AI algorithms. Palantir is especially critical. This CIA-funded company sells massive data analysis systems. The UK has Palantir analyze NHS data. The US uses Palantir for immigrant tracking. Ukraine relies on Palantir for war logistics. Palantir isn't just a software company, it's a surveillance empire. The result? All the pieces are coming together. Digital identity plus ESG plus CBDC plus smart city plus big tech equals an inescapable web. China calls this web the social credit system. The West is leaving it nameless. Because if we name it, we notice it. So is this inevitable? No, not yet, but the window is closing. The system gets a little stronger every day. The net gets a little tighter every day. But resistance is still possible. And the first step? Awareness. Let's use cash. I'm serious. Keeping cash alive is the simplest but most effective resistance method. CBDC's only weakness. The system can't be made mandatory unless we stop using cash. If stores have a card-only policy, let's not go. Find alternatives. Build community. Support businesses that accept cash. Crypto, but let's be careful. Decentralized cryptos like Bitcoin and Ethereum are a potential escape route. But at the same time, governments are tightening crypto regulations. Some are forcing crypto exchanges to implement KYC, Know Your Customer. Privacy-focused cryptos like Monero are being banned. Is crypto a solution? Uncertain, but for now, it's one of the alternatives. Decentralization. The future's battle is here. Decentralized internet, Web3, decentralized finance, DeFi, decentralized social media. These aren't just technology, they're ideology. Because when control isn't centralized in one place, the system collapses. VPN, Tor, encryption tools. Protecting our digital privacy isn't a luxury anymore, it's a necessity. If we're not using a VPN, our internet provider is tracking every step we take. Not using Tor browser, our IP address is being tracked. Not using encrypted messaging, Signal, Session, our conversations are being read. Sound paranoid? They said the same thing before Snowden. Local community networks. Communities completely independent from the system, self-sufficient. Barter economy, local currencies, cooperatives. History shows us that the most durable resistance happens at the local level. Structures the system can't reach, can't control, but function on their own. Which countries are resisting? Switzerland rejected the digital identity law by referendum. Russia postponed widespread implementation after keeping CBDC in pilot stage. Some US states have passed laws banning CBDC. Small steps, but important steps. But let's also say this. Individual resistance alone isn't enough. The system is too big, too powerful, too organized. If we don't wake up as a society, the resistance of a few people gets silenced, goes down in history but doesn't change the system. So the most important resistance, sharing information. If you're watching this video, you know now. Now it's time to share. Let's tell those around us, show our families, discuss with our friends. Staying silent is approval. Throughout human history, control has always existed. Kings, dictators, empires, all chased power. But none had a control system as perfect as today's. Because the technology didn't exist. Now the technology exists. AI exists. Biometric recognition exists. Digital money exists. Global data networks exist. And for the first time in history, total control is possible. Not just in one city, not just in one country, all over the world, simultaneously, inescapable. Two futures are possible. First scenario, the system is completed. CBDC becomes mandatory. We can't get any services without digital identity. If our ESG score is low, we can't get credit. Smart cities are divided into zones. Our freedom of movement is tied to permission. And resistance becomes impossible. Because the system is completely digital, centralized, autonomous. Second scenario, society wakes up. Cash usage is preserved. Digital identity can't be made mandatory. CBDC is rejected. Decentralized alternatives get stronger. Local communities organize. And the system, when met with enough resistance, collapses. Which will happen? We don't know yet, but this is certain. Our time to choose is running out. The system is being built a little more every day. Every new regulation, every new pilot program, every new convenience, another brick. And when the building is complete, tearing it down will be very hard. What can we do individually? Let's use cash, protect our privacy, reduce our dependence on big tech, support local, share information, and most importantly, let's not comply, because the system's only power is our voluntary participation. What should we do collectively? Create pressure, object to digital identity laws, oppose CBDC projects, reject cashless society policies, write to our representatives, protest, organize. When we look at history, we see no system has withstood social resistance. But our time is short. The China model is there. The West model is here. Both heading to the same destination. Just different routes. Same outcome. Digital prison. And we're either in a cell or outside resisting. We're here questioning, exposing, warning, because staying silent isn't an option. Maybe they'll call us crazy. Maybe conspiracy theorists. Doesn't matter. History has shown today's conspiracy theory becomes tomorrow's reality. Final question, what are we choosing? Comfortable slavery or dangerous freedom? Because there's no middle ground. The gray area is closed. Now there are only two sides, and all of us have to pick one. Please share your thoughts in the comments. The truth is hidden in plain sight. Subscribe to see more. Stay watching. I love you.